Welcome! No, you know what? I don't think I'm gonna do it like that this time. What's up, guys? Finally getting around to doing some videos on the 521 drag Banshee that we're about to build. I know some of you have been waiting for this Banshee for a while, so we're gonna dive right into it. Big shout out to BP Racing for sponsoring me with all these awesome parts for the 521 build. And I'll take you guys through each piece individually. Over here on my far right, we have the original cases from the 472 Super Cub that I built. These were bored and trenched for the 521 setup. And I'll show you guys some close-ups of this as we talk about the stuff. I've got my original clutch cover here. We do have a billet clutch hub and I believe a drag clutch pack setup for that. And we do have a lockup clutch over on the bench for that as well. We've got a nice billet 521 crank here. We've got some float bowl extenders. We've got a transmission bearing kit from Hot Rods. We've got a brand new NOS Machine Performance Cool Head. We've got a 1 through 5 override transmission, which we'll do, you know, some really close-up talk about that when we go to install it. Hardened shift forks and shabs for that as well. We've got a brand new seal kit. We've got stud extenders, stainless steel throttle cable, and front brake cable, I believe. And then also we've got the 521 cylinders, brand new from BP Racing. Also some big bore in-frame shears. I chose raw. We will be putting a coat of VHT 2000 satin clear on these so we can keep this finish and then also keep it low maintenance as well. We got a lightened flywheel here, and that's pretty much everything we got on the bench. Everything else we need is going to be from the original Banshee. What are we going to be doing, you ask? Well, we're going to be taking the 392 motor out of the drag Banshee that actually does run extremely well. We're gonna knock the timing back from 7 to 4 degrees, put it back on pump gas, and then I'm gonna actually take that and do a full build series on my original trail Banshee that I tore apart. And then this 521 setup is going in the drag Banshee, which ought to keep the drag Banshee completely drag. And then I'll just use it for hill climbs and sand dunes and things of that nature. When all said and done, this should make in the ballpark of 120 to 130 horsepower pretty much with ease. And I've lightened up a little bit over the past couple months, and I'll tell you, this thing should rip a lot harder than it did with the 392, because we're going to be near doubling the power output with this thing. So I'm super excited. I want to dive right into it, and I want to get this done so we can do some testing on it. All right, guys, so we're going to be keeping this build super simple and try to keep it moving right along. The chassis on this Banshee is already pretty well set up for drag racing, so there's not anything that I really want to change other than cleaning and polishing some things. I think the chassis we're just pretty much going to keep the same. The plastics, we got to take the plastics off, we got to take the gas tank off, we got to drain the fluids out, take the seat off and the rear plastics, and then we should be able to start moving the pipes, get the engine out, and then start assembling the new engine to put it into the frame. Okay, now that's be that. Like I was telling you guys before, I am going to take the time and really clean this thing up and get this thing operational and ready for the other trail Banshee, and that will be a completely separate build. We'll take that thing down to the frame. I'm going to do some, how-to on powder coating and stuff like that, because I've got a nice little setup for powder coating and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's it. We're down to our roller, and we're ready to move on to the next step. All right, guys, new day, new shirt. Check it out. Certified YouTube mechanic. Love this shirt. My dad got it for me for my birthday, so I figured I'd rep that on the video for you guys. So check it out. We're going to be assembling the motor. Right now, we're moving on to step 2. We're going to assemble the motor. It's going to be the 521 Beast. We got everything laid out here on the bench. Pretty strategic. It's pretty basic putting a Banshee motor together. There's nothing like super intricate about it. It's just a basic 2-stroke engine. There's just a lot of cleaning and checking of clearances and things of that nature. I'm not going to go crazy into detail while I'm assembling this engine. There is tons of videos online for you guys to check out where people are assembling these things in intricate detail. Quick YouTube search will yield you those results. But what I will do is, show close-ups of pretty much all the work. We're going to start by taking these old cases from the 472 Super Cub, which have been trenched and have also been bored for the 521 cylinders, and then epoxied in these little jackets to strengthen them up, because they open up this case so much for the 521 cylinder. And then I hand ported these to actually gasket match the 472 cases, but we're going to go back and check that out and make sure there's enough meat on these walls, and we're going to re-gasket match that. And if these are too thin, we're going to actually build that up with some weld, and then I'll wind up porting them back down to match the gasket again. And then there's also a break back here by the chain. I'm also going to weld that, so that way that doesn't actually completely break off, and then we'll wind up smoothing that out as well. Over here to my left, we have the override transmission kit. It's actually 2 through 5, not a 1 through 5 like I said earlier. I opted for the 2 through 5. And one of the things we want to keep in mind here with the override transmission is that they're specific for drag racing only. And the reason I say this is because you can't trail ride an override transmission. Once you are in the power band on this override transmission, you can't just let off the gas and let the engine kind of slow you down. You have to keep going through the gears, and then you pull in the clutch. You can't downshift at all. You have to wait till you come to complete stop and then downshift back to first again, and then you can putt around in first or what have you. So they are very specific for drag racing. If you backload the transmission with power, you can actually break or shear these teeth off pretty easily. So we definitely don't want to do that. We want to stick to what we're supposed to be doing with this transmission, and that's specifically drag racing. That is why I have this bike set up just for drag racing. We have the seal kit. We have hardened drum epoxied. We have a billet impeller here. We've got a hot rods transmission bearing kit. We've got some hardened shafts and forks, and we've got our stud extenders, pancake bearing kit. Basically everything we need, and everything I don't have brand new, I have left over from the 472 motor. So we will be reusing some of that stuff, but nothing that we should be replacing with new parts like bearings and seals and stuff like that. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get started cleaning these cases up. I want to get them really nice, make any repairs that are necessary, chase threads and stuff like that, and fix any threads and helicoil or whatever I got to do to fix this, and get these back to optimal condition, and then we will start assembling the engine. If you want to take a quick look at my tools over here to my right, this is just a very simple set of tools. It's Pittsburgh. It's from Harbor Freight. I love Harbor Freight stuff. Very economical. Very priced well for the individual who may be in their garage or basement doing work on their stuff. So nothing crazy here, just your average torque wrench that I've been using for like the last 6 years. And I got some Yamaha Bond, which is a very good sealant for metal to metal. And I've got like my Milwaukee Impact. I've got some Super Clean here, which is really good for cleaning. I got that partially sponsored to me. And that's pretty much it, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and get started, clean these cases up, and enjoy. Alright guys, so next up I'm going to be installing the new transmission. We have a whole bunch of new stuff here. This is the override transmission. It's got, you can see some immediate differences in this versus the stock one. I don't have a stock one here to show you though. This was my stock transmission that we converted to a full 2 through 5 override. But you can see it has the springs in here. The OEM does not have that. It also came with a modified shift drum, which to my understanding you also need to make the override work properly. You can see they ground certain channels out inside of this, and there's some coating on here for some areas that need to be taken out for that drum to move freely. We have some hardened shift forks. We have lots of little clutch upgrades and stuff that came with it, and then also have hardened shafts. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get this all set up and installed. I'm gonna pre-lubricate the bearings on the crank, drop the stroker crank in, and then I'm going to be sealing this case with all brand new bearings and seals, putting it together and torquing it down to Yamaha's factory spec. So let's get started. Alright guys, let's turn the music down for a second. I wanted to take a real quick moment and talk to you guys about what I'm doing here in this particular section of the video. I'm putting the rest of the bottom end together, but what you'll notice is I'm applying lubricant basically to all of the bearings and gears in the bottom end. And there's a specific reason for this. I do not want to dry fire on any of the bearings or anything. That can actually do that. That's actually when the most amount of damage can occur to an engine. So pre-assembly lubrication is extremely important. I'm just using some simple 75-90 weight gear oil here. That's what that blue bottle is. You go to any auto parts store and pick up something very similar to it. You don't have to get overly crazy with lubrication. That is my personal opinion on this. There's a million different types of lubrication here, but let's keep it simple. This stuff's going to burn off once the engine gets up to temp anyways, and then the oil inside your two-stroke mix is then going to take over for the crank bearings, and whatever lubrication you're using for your gear set and transmission in the Banshee or any other two-stroke will wash that up. And you should be changing it after a first ride anyways, so all that stuff's going to wash out. It's not going to do any damage to the clutches or anything like that, and you'll be good to go. So anyways, on to the next section. Alright guys, so check it out. Next to me you can see I got the crazy workbench space going on. Everything is cluttered like crazy. Banshee motor is pretty much together, looking pretty good. I'm really happy with how it turned out. It looks really good, it looks super sick. I'm gonna do some really cool cinematic stuff with it. It's gonna be really sick. But anyways, a couple things I wanted to talk about before installing the engine. I pretty much have everything ready to go today to get this done. You know, this is 9 months in the making, 9 months of different filming over time and stuff like that. So I'm really excited to get this thing fired up and hear it, drive it, test it. I've never ridden an override transmission before, so it's going to be really exciting and scary all at the same time. With that being said, that's one of the things I wanted to talk about first. I did not talk about earlier in the video that this is actually a dunable. It's considered a dunable override transmission. That's what those 3 springs are, which I did not talk about in the video. I goofed up, but I'll show a picture here and you guys can get a really good idea of how that works. The springs hold both of the shift forks in the center so that they're not engaging the other gears while it's spinning. It helps save the teeth and things like that, and it does allow you to kind of gently ride this a certain way without killing the transmission, but it's not something you can do in like the middle of the power band. You've either got to be like very gentle on it or hardcore. You can't, to my understanding, you know, correct me in the comments below if you guys have more experience with it. This is something I'm completely new to, so it's a very new learning curve for me as well. But yeah, so it'll be fun to try that out. Those springs help keep those forks centered, and in that way, when you engage the gear, the drum forces them to stay centered and one is engaged and not both at the same time. I'm not going to go any more in depth than that. That's kind of how I understand it to work. Feel free to fix me in the comments below. The other thing I wanted to talk about was BP Racing really hooked it up during the filming process, during putting this thing together. Steve from BP reached out to me and he said, hey, do you want to try this brand new thing in the making here? They're doing titanium bolts and nuts and studs for the base and also for the head. So Steve went up, packaged, shipped me out. I got all titanium, and I have some leftover nuts here on the bench. I'll show some close-ups of these for you guys, but these are pretty freaking awesome. For the hardcore drag race guys that are trying to save every ounce of weight, which for those of you that aren't into drag racing, a couple of the biggest ways to shave time off, one is weight savings, right? So titanium is super strong, just like stainless, right? And it saves weight, and that's what a lot of guys try to do. These things are super light. They feel as light as aluminum. Like if you had an aluminum nut that matched this, I would think that the weight would be extremely similar, and then a steel nut would probably be like double the weight, or a stainless steel. But titanium is just as strong. I don't believe that there's a whole lot of strength increase with titanium, but the weight savings is generally, and also the cool factor, but the price is a little bit more for titanium. But if you can afford it, definitely a must-have for true drag racers. And so we got all titanium studs for the bottom of the jug and also for the cylinder head. And then those nuts, they fit on the stud area, but just I wasn't comfortable running them because with a NOS head, and some of you may have remembered the 472 build I did a few years back. These will leak if they're not sealed properly. So since it came with all brand new copper washers and acorn nuts, I just went ahead and used those. They do work just fine, and the weight difference isn't going to be that much for me. I shedded some weight off the last year, and plus the drag Banshee's already insanely light. I'm not really worried about, ounces of weight or micro ounces or whatever you want to call it. So, but anyways, I wanted to talk about the titanium stuff because that's super cool, and the hardcore drag race guys are going to go nuts for that kind of stuff. So you can get them on bpracingatv.com. You can get the titanium studs, stud extenders, and the nuts as well. Super cool. And there's a whole bunch of other titanium stuff too, but that specifically was one that I really wanted to try out on this build. It's something new, something different. Something that you're not seeing a lot of just yet. So if you guys are interested in any of that, I'll leave a link in the description below. I don't have a promo code at this time for you guys, but if I get one, I'll be sure to add it. And with that being said, those are the last two things I want to talk about. We're going to go ahead and jump into installing this. I'm waiting on a couple last little things to fire it up, but I went this morning, picked up my race fuel. I got some C16 VP rate stat at 118 octane or higher, and then I got some AMSOIL Dominator premix oil, which is one of my top two favorites. Klotz is actually my favorite, Klotz Techniplate. AMSOIL comes in a strong second. I'm very, very finicky with my premix oils because I've had enough blow-up sessions already, so stay away from Torco. But anyways, this motor's ready to go in. Keyways just came in today, so I'm going to be able to put the flywheel back on, which is lightened, and it's sitting behind me somewhere right there on the bench. It is lightened. I had BP lighten it while it was out there. Any ounce of power we could gain out of this, I was like, I want it. I set my base timing to 5 degrees. I'll work on dialing that in just a little bit more once I get it running and I get it, I get the rear tires changed out and all that kind of stuff. I got a bunch of stuff to do. So I'm gonna work on getting this thing together. I think next up we're gonna paint the plastics. So enjoy some time-lapse clips of that, and then we're gonna jump into installing the engine. So sit back, enjoy, and we're almost done. All right, guys, so this brings us to a very interesting part of the build. I spent a lot of time working on the plastics, probably a lot more time than I should have, maybe even more time than working on the engine itself and the quad itself. But anyways, learning experience, learning curve. I haven't had a whole lot of experience with painting ATV plastics before. I haven't really painted them before, so this was like my first hardcore crack at doing a set. What we did was I found this awesome set of full bores out in New Jersey, about 3 hours away from me. Went and picked those up, 150 bucks cash. But you can see the coating on these things is peeling off pretty hardcore. I don't know what the coating is. I don't know if it's like a wrap that's heated or some type of crazy adhesive, but I tried several methods of removing this. I pulled every trick out of my arsenal that I had. I tried paint stripper, acetone, paint thinner, and several other methods. Nothing seemed to take the coating off until I started grinding the material off. So I tried grinding it off with a grinder and a sanding disc, and it did work, but the problem is I couldn't get a smooth surface. And so I wound up skipping that and going to sanding, trying to smooth everything out the best as possible. And then we wiped it down with some acetone, gave her some primer coats. I used high build primer. It was just a Rust-Oleum, one of their regular series you get at Walmart in the spray cans for like $9 a can. Sprayed it up. I did like 5 coats of primer to try and hide those imperfections from grinding and sanding and stuff like that. And it did work out pretty good, but you could still see some of the hard grooves from the grinder disc eating into there a little bit. But anyways, then we went over it with a burnt copper VHT engine enamel, which is one of my favorite colors. It's among my top favorite. I did 3 or 4 coats of that, and then we went to the Rust-Oleum 2K clear, and we did 5 coats of the clear coat, and it did come out really, really nice when it's done, and you guys are going to really enjoy the cinematic. At least I did anyways, creating this, this, what essentially is my dream quad at this point. So yeah, anyways, that was the entire process for the plastics, and then that brings us up to speed of installing the engine and getting to take this thing out for a first rip. So Alright guys, so while I'm putting some race fuel in this beast, I wanted to take a second and let you guys know my premix ratio just for the first startup, because we are literally getting ready to fire this thing up. We got all the fluids in it. I checked and double checked everything. I might check for spark real fast before I go ahead and kick this over a few times, but I've got C16 because this 521 was set up for race fuel. We got C16, VP rate set at 118 or higher octane, so it's somewhere 118 or above. And then I ran the AMSOIL Dominator, which is the container I showed here, the two-stroke Dominator racing oil. This is my second favorite. I actually like Klott's Technic Plate better, but this is all they had at the local store, so I was like, okay, I'll settle for this because that's my number 2. So I do a 36-to-1 ratio. And then I might actually switch that, depending on how it runs, to like a 40-to-1. But I've been running 36-to-1 for the last 20 years of my life, and I've had really good results with it. If you're going to burn a motor down, 40-to-1, 36-to-1, that doesn't make a big difference. I actually like a little bit more oil in the mix anyways, because two strokes rely on that oil. Think about friction, right? And the less oil that you put in the mix, the more friction there's going to be, the harder it is. The motor's going to be fighting itself to make power. But then also, if you put too much oil in, the spark plugs won't burn it out either. So it's like, it's a hit or miss thing. You just trial and error it, see where you get the best one. So anyways, let's go ahead and get some fuel in this thing and get this baby fired up. Hopefully the mic is still in an optimal position. Ugh. All right, let's give this guy some race fuel. I ain't gonna put too much in there because I know the petcock is leaking a bit, and I'm not looking to create, a fire hazard. Actually, I think it's leaking. I tried fixing it, but I didn't get to dry test it yet. So we don't need much to get a first fire out of this bad boy. So I am satisfied. I already got the carbs set up, ready to go. We did a 175 main jet, 55 pilot, and then air screw out 2 turns from the factory. So let me throw the cap on real quick and we'll see if we can get this guy to fire up. I don't see any leaks. That's good. Oh, I see a couple drippers there. Yep, I see a couple drippers. So I'll have to take that petcock back off again. That's okay though. All right, I have no kill switch on this. It's just a tether. So let's go. Let's see what this. We'll give her a few with the throttle open. Yeah, we got a carburetor leak. Son of a bitch, man. Both of them. What the f, man? Okay, I figured out what the leak was. The leak was just these carbs, we put float bowl extenders on them, and so the tube that goes up in the float bowl, obviously that ½ inch or quarter inch or whatever the thickness of that plate is, I didn't measure it, but whatever that thickness of that plate is, that tube lowered itself that much from the float, and so the float will stop the fuel from coming into the carb, but the overflow tube, the fuel will still go out the overflow tube. So I'm not sure what they do for float bowl extenders to be able to run them. I'll figure it out later. There's enough fuel in the float bowls to be able to get a first fire out of this thing at least. So we'll do that, and then we've got a bunch of stuff to button this thing up for a final drag rip on her. So let's see if we can get her to fire up. Oh, third kick. No way, dude. No way. Woo! That is beautiful. Yeah, baby. That's snappy, baby. We've already got the idle set up and everything. Oh, that sounds so beautiful. Yeah! is really good at idle, guys. I'm just gonna let her get a little heat in her. Couple minutes, that's it. And we'll do that 2 times before I take it out for a rip. Dude, that sounds nasty. Yeah, baby. That's all we need. I don't know if you guys could hear the audio while this thing's running, but I'll say it again. First off, epic. Third kick, light throttle, just to get some fuel in there. She fired right up. My idle tune was set perfect. We were at roughly 8 HGs on this bad boy. Kilogram. But if you don't have one of these, they're great for tuning more than one cylinder at a time with multiple carburetors. And you can check your vacuum flow, and you can do that with the throttle. I did a whole video a few years ago on it. If you guys are interested in that, go check it out. But dude, this thing sounds so epic! I love it. I want to take it out for a ride so bad. We got to finish some stuff up. But basically, I'm going to do 2 heat cycles. We'll do that one. I'll let it cool down for like a half hour. We'll do another heat cycle. I'll let it run a little longer. And then we're going to take it out and do some light rips on it and check the plugs before we do some hardcore rips on it. I just want to make sure everything's going to seat in real nicely. There's not going to be any leaks or any problems like that. But yeah, I'm going to shut up. We're going to get the rest of this thing buttoned up. We got to put the plastics on, top the antifreeze, or top the water wetter off. And we got to figure out the carb situation. And then we're good to go. Let's go ripping. Alright guys, we're ready for the first rip. I hope this is a good view for you guys. I cannot see what it looks like, but the Banshee looks good from my view. I'm trying to get a good idea here. It looks okay, but we gonna find out when we ride, that's for sure. Alright, let's give this baby a try. Let's see what she's like. I'm really nervous, really scared. It's the first time that I've ever gotten to use an override transmission. So when we get it fired up, we're gonna go set up the drag spot, and then we're gonna do a little putt around the yard just so I could test it out, and then we'll do a couple drag reps and we'll see what she's like. Let's get it. Oh, we gotta turn the gas on. Yep, okay. There we go. Alright. Oh my God, look how nice this looks in the sun. Oh my God, I just gotta take a second and show you guys this. It looks so much better in the sun. Oh my God, look at this thing. Wow, look at that. Look how it gleams. Wow. I love that. Oh my God, it looks so good. All right, let's check this sucker out. All right, now I have this little spot over here in the yard that I like to use for my drag rips on ATVs anyways. This right here is what I like to use for my bob. You can see I horseplay a lot here. Let's check out the override transmission. Second, third, fourth, fifth. And I won't backload it. I'll stop completely, and then I'll put her all the way in first. That's pretty easy enough, right? We're gonna let this get up in temp a little bit. We're at 105, and then we're gonna do a little pull. I don't want to wait till it gets really hot. Maybe like 120, which it should be there in like a minute. Sounds healthy, that's for sure. Oh, that's good enough. I'm really excited. Let's do this. Oh my God. Alright, first gear launch. Oh my God. Oh my God. No way. For sale. I'm done. It's for sale. I don't even want it. Oh my God. My heart is pounding so fast right now. Oh my God. This thing is ridiculously fast. That was third gear. You don't even hear it shift through the gears. I can't even explain it to you guys. I've never ridden anything like this before. This is the first time. And then like a dummy, I threw my key in the ground and now I don't know where it is. Oh my God. Look at it. It's already dirty. That sucks, but holy crap. This thing is a freaking monster, baby. Oh, my heart is racing so fast right now. I cannot believe how fast this thing is. It was like 1, 2, 3, boom. Like it was already there. Oh my God. Now I know why Banshee guys like to drag them out like this. There's my key. Holy crap. I hope you guys are enjoying the view. I'm gonna change the angle just a little bit. And then I just hope it's capturing the handlebars and everything real good for you guys. But holy crap. Oh my God, that is scary. That is scary. Scary fast. Not even stupid fast anymore. Just like scary fast. Oh my God. I need a second to like catch my breath. You'll notice it's still kind of hard to get into neutral. That's because the shift star, we don't grind them down for override transmissions. We leave them with the star point. And in that way, like the typical star on these Banshees is already hard enough to get into neutral. And then, you know, we usually grind the edges down to make them smoother shifting, but you don't do that on these because you want the drum to stay in place so those gears don't, those dogs don't try to engage. It's a very, very important thing to keep in mind with the override transmissions. But oh my God, let's do 1 or 2 more pulls and then we'll go pull it in. Oh my God, this thing is freaking nuts, man. Easily the fastest Banshee I've ever ridden. Easily. Woo! Oh my God, dude. Unbelievable. Really, really happy with this one. All right, let's try another one. Oh my God! Oh my God! I can't even get out of third. Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh, let's go look at the marks quick. And the ass end on this thing is just sideways the whole time. Look at that! Sideways! I can't wait to look at the footage, man. One more quick pull. All right, ready? Oh, man! Woo! Oh, dude! Oh my God, this thing just is freaking animalistic. Who wants some? Come get it, baby. Let's go. Let's freaking go right now. I'm ready to race. Oh my God, my heart is racing so fast. Oh my God. Hopefully that's a nice little sound check for you guys. Oh look, I got a neutral. He runs amazing. Yes, baby, yes. All right, I'm good for now. I'm good for now. Let's do an outro. Testing, testing. I hope you guys are as thrilled to see this thing run as I was. This is a build that I've been planning for a long time, and I'm really excited to finally execute that for you guys. And I enjoyed the whole process, man. The building, the filming, the editing. I spent 30 hours this week editing the video. One reason why I don't do a whole lot of YouTube videos is because the editing takes forever. But anyways, got my monster salted caramel here. New day, new shirt, and doing this awesome intro or outro for you guys. So anyways, super huge shout out to BP Racing ATV for hooking it up with the parts for this four-wheeler. And then also one company that I didn't mention as much as I should have in the video was DRW Performance. Weston hooked me up with some case saver and also the rotor and sprocket guard for this thing as well, which I did not put on yet, but I do have them over there on the bench. I just got to put them on. Wasn't important for the yard rips, you know what I mean? But we've got some super cool videos coming up for this thing. I got some drag slicks on order for this. I want to not only hit the racetrack with this and see what kind of 60-foot times we can put down mile an hour and stuff like that. But I also want to get this thing to the dyno and really see what kind of realistic power this thing makes for you guys. So if you know of anybody in the central Pennsylvania area that has a ATV motorcycle dyno, please let me know. I do have a local dyno that does car stuff, and I'm working with them right now. But honestly, I don't think we're going to use this on the car dyno because the rollers are extremely heavy for the car dyno, and we don't want to hurt the Banshee in any way, shape, or form. We want to use a machine that's specifically designed to measure the power output of this. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching the video. Hope you really enjoyed it, and stick around for some more badass content. Let's freaking go, baby.